Are you ready to shatter ceilings, to redefine what's possible in your life and business? Then welcome to the Beyond Woman podcast, where we dive deep into the heart of empowerment, the art of crafting a lifestyle business that truly serves you, and the tools to unlock your most authentic, powerful self. I'm your host, Jacqueline Walker Johnson, and here we celebrate the women who are rewriting the rules, the visionaries carving their own paths, and the experts who are sharing their hard-won wisdom to guide us all. Join us for intimate conversations with women who are not just talking the talk, but walking the walk. Women who have the expertise and the sheer grit to empower you to step into your limitless potential. Get ready to be inspired, challenged, and transformed. This is the Beyond Woman podcast. Let's begin. All right, so welcome back to another Beyond Woman Conversations. And today we have the honor of speaking with Monique Farquharson, and we're talking about taking the leap on culture, courage, and matcha. So, yes, we get to sit down with the incredible Monique Farquharson. Monique is a powerhouse, of course, an entrepreneur, cultural connector, and the fearless founder of the Matcha Yaad. Tell me that I pronounced that properly, Monique.
Yes, you have. It's a Yaad.
Britain's first Jamaican matcha company. Her journey has taken her from Jamaica to immersing herself in Japan and now to the UK, where she's fusing bold Jamaican flavors with the elegance of Japanese matcha. She's been named one of Specialty Food Magazine's 25 Rising Food and Drink Stars in 2024. She's a Great Taste Awards judge, and honestly, her story is just a masterclass in thinking big, leaping in faith, and making your culture your superpower. Monique, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you so much, Jackie. Are you sure you're talking about me?
Absolutely, absolutely. We are phenomenal Caribbean women, and I just can't wait to dive in and to just have this conversation with you and to get the powerful takeaways that will impact our community. So tell us a little bit, not too much, because we're going to talk more in the as the conversation goes on. But tell us a little bit about yourself, Monique.
I mean, if I would describe myself, I think I'd probably say I'm just someone who is resilient and I like to take risks. Born in Jamaica, and when I was in Jamaica, I did many things. I was a teacher first. That was my first profession. I was a math and science teacher, and then I got bored and then moved to study in actuarial science at the University of the West Indies.
Wow.
I went on that path. One of the most grueling degrees that you can ever think of. It was so hard.
Only for bright people, Monique. Only for bright people.
That's what they say. I don't know, because I wasn't there, so I don't know. But yeah, so I did that at UA. Then after that, I left. I worked for a startup. Worked for Advantage as an insurance business analyst for some time, and that is when I founded my matcha company, and then went to Japan, went to the UK. So let me not go too deep into it because I know that you have a lot of questions that you're going to ask, but that's a little bit of a synopsis. So, born in Jamaica, lived in Japan for a couple of years, and then now I'm residing in the UK.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we're going to start right there. The fact that you've taken such an unconventional path, Jamaica, Japan, the UK, and that's not something I think that most entrepreneurs would even imagine or let alone do. So what first convinced you that matcha and Jamaican flavors could actually work together?
You know what? It was just trial and error. So when I was all the way back at UA, the story is this. I met some women very randomly. They invited me to this meeting because I had established a society there, the Global Etiquette Society, whilst I was at UA. And were invited, myself and my executives were invited to this meeting with some women, and they were like, we need to try matcha. We tried it. I promise you, Jack, it was horrible.
So we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that.
Yeah. And then because it wasn't the most pleasant experience, but the thing is, matcha also had a lot of health benefits. And I wanted to find a way to use it because I wanted to use it instead of drinking coffee, because coffee would make my heart palpitate. And I just started experimenting with different flavors. And that is how the whole Jamaican flavors came about, because I was just in the kitchen doing a lot of experimentation with the matcha, with ginger, peppers, all sorts of stuff. And that's how I knew that I wasn't even allergic to matcha, but I digress. And it just started tasting amazing. And I was like, ooh, I might be onto something here. So it was really just trial and error.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And not something that you intentionally set out to do, right?
No, definitely not. In fact, as I say, it's just by happenstance because I never knew anything at all about matcha. It was just some random woman introduced it to me. And then because, as soon as I tasted it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is weird. And I started researching it because I wanted to know what the hell did this woman give to me. And I was taken aback by just the amount of health benefits that it had. And then I was like, no, I need to probably start trying this thing, to see if it really works on my body because there were so many testimonials online. And this is way before matcha was popular. And that's when I started to just do some experimentation in the kitchen.
I love it. I love it. That's what I wanted to get at. The fact that, you were curious and then you went and did the
Yeah.
research and now here we are. So I love when you said that you talk about the first time you tasted, you spat it out because it was so horrible, right? And I love that, that kind of honesty. But looking back, do you feel like that first bad taste was symbolic of life? Like, sometimes you have to go and give things a second chance to reveal their value. What are your thoughts on that? Have you ever thought about it that
I
way?
so I actually never thought about it that way, but I agree with you 100% because some of the times, just in life, as you said, you try something for the first time, or life just happens, things just doesn't work out the way that you probably even imagined that it would, and then instead of not trying again, you probably just miss your blessing. So sometimes you should try again. And so for the matcha, that is exactly what I did, and thankfully, I actually tried again because now we're here.
Awesome, awesome. And it's beautiful, when we connect with people because I can tell you that right now I have a package of matcha in my cupboard that my husband bought.
Point out. Listen, that's your way.
And listen, I am having a really hard time. So I'm gonna have to try yours. I'm gonna have to try yours. Okay. All right. So let's talk about thinking big, going beyond Jamaica. A lot of us as entrepreneurs, we tend to stay close to home. We don't think about the big global stage that is out there. And yes, you started in Jamaica, but then you took it all the way to Japan. What was that internal dialogue that pushed you to think bigger than your borders? Was there any doubt? Did you have a vision?
There's a lot that goes into that story, but because we have a short time. So when I had started a business, because I had started this business called Petite Squares in Jamaica, and I had a juice bar and in Lushusan. So we're there in the juice bar, doing the matcha. And what was happening is that a lot of the customers that came to the juice bar after they tried the product, they automatically just assumed for some reason that I either went to Japan, lived in Japan. There was some connection between me and Japan physically. And they were asking me about like my experience there because it was just such a random thing. Because as I said, this is way before matcha was popular. So this random, very black girl, very Jamaican girl selling matcha in the supermarket. And because they were always questioning me, about this, and they had all sorts of other questions, just about probably the properties of matcha, the benefits of matcha, things like that. And I saw that as an opportunity because the thing is, for me, authenticity is very important and credibility. So I just decided that I needed to go to the home of matcha to understand it so that I can be in a position to answer the questions that my customers have. And that's just how I looked at it. So, it's thinking beyond just the business that I had there and what does the future look like for the business? How am I going to show up in, an authentic, confident way to my customers when they have certain questions? How can I answer those questions? If I can't answer those questions, why am I even in business? So those
Wow.
are some of the thoughts that were in my mind. And that is what I guess was a catalyst to me deciding to go over into the East.
I absolutely love that. That is definitely the opposite of short-sighted. And it really is a lesson to all of us as entrepreneurs to, not just give a product, but
Yeah.
like to fully immerse yourself in the experience so that you can showcase it to the world in the way that it needs to be showcased in the world. And then we all know what happens after that, right? You get the buy-in of people, you get buy-in of customers. Was that your experience after?
Yeah, definitely for sure. Because the thing is, in interestingly, I wanted to come back to Jamaica, but then I got the opportunity to come to the UK. But the thing is, when I came to the UK and then a lot of persons heard the story, that particular aspect of the story was, I guess, the bestseller. You know, that was the reason why a lot of persons took interest in the brand and wanted to learn more about the brand or even try the product because there was a bit of trust, I guess, that, you know, I would have gotten because I went to the actual source. I did the research. I was down in the culture, you know, fully immersed. And yeah,
I'm
so the
curious.
buying,
Awesome. I'm curious to know, did you go by yourself?
yes, I
It
did.
oh wow, because I'm saying
Oh
that you
Lord.
embrace that kind of uncertainty. Were you always that type of person though?
You know, I'm not you. I think so because I think I'm one of those persons who, if I make a decision, it's made. I think that is how I would describe myself, and that is how I probably my mother would describe me as well. Because everybody who knows Monique knows that if Monique says she's going to do something, she's going to do something. If Monique makes a decision, it is made. You don't have to, you know, think about it again because it's done. So when I came to her and I'm like, you know, I'm going to Japan, she was like, okay, cool. Because she knew that I was going to go.
There is no doubt about it. She knows her
No,
child.
no. Mm-mm.
Okay, okay. I love that though. The fact that, you're not afraid to take risk. And I guess that is why what they say in business, the bigger the risk, the higher the return, something to that effect.
Yeah, they do say that. But let us see if that is the case, you know, because we're waiting for the billions and billions.
It's coming. Don't worry. Don't worry. All right. So you went into the Japanese culture and you with a sensei. Um, Once again, that you're just fearless and you just think big, you know. What's one lesson that you would say from the way of tea that now guides you in the way that you live or run your business? What did you learn from your training with this sensei?
All right, so let me give you an example. When I started my tea classes with my sensei, one of the things that I noticed was that when we were in the tea room, she was doing certain things, and she was always doing, you know, every time that we had our classes, she was always doing the same things, and it was very intentional. There was no movement, literally no movement at all, that she made that was random. Every single thing that she did was intentional, whether it is how she lifted the spoon or how she poured the water, every single aspect of that. It's a very intricate tea ceremony. And the thing that I learned from that is just to be intentional. So, you know, in life and just how you want to go about life, whatever goals that you have, the thoughts that you have, everything that you do, just try to be intentional about it. Don't just go about, you know, haphazardly, just very randomly, just make life just hit you like, you know, I guess the waves or whatever, and then you're just flapping about in the sea. Be very intentional about the things that you do, the things that you say, how you go about your day. And that is what I would say that I took from the tea ceremony. And that is how I try, operative word here, try to live my life, is trying to be very intentional with the things that I do.
Yes, that is something that I strongly believe in, the whole matter of intentionality, because I feel like we progress so much better, we achieve so much more when we're all intentional. So
Yeah, I
we're
agree.
still talking about Jamaica and Japan. Two very distinct culture, I believe, and you are in a space where you're seemingly trying to blend both. Jamaica is all fire and boldness, I think, and Japan with its discipline and precision that you just spoke about with your sensei. So share with us how they balance each other, or if they at times clash inside of you as a businesswoman. How does that play out?
You know what? I think one of the things that surprised me the most when I went to Japan is actually how similar it is to Jamaica.
Really?
The cultures on the surface looks very different because, as you say, you know, when you think about Jamaica, you think about boldness, vibrancy, vibe, all of that, because we're a very big culture, big in everything. And when you think about Japan, Japan, on the surface, you think about, the reserved culture, very traditional, very almost by the books, very quiet. But one of the things, and I guess probably this is where God comes in, because he sent me to a very specific place in Japan, which is called Okinawa. And Okinawa is the most amazing prefecture. And it's just island vibe. So when I went to Okinawa, I thought that I went back to Jamaica. And you would think that there is going to be a lot of clashes, in me when I think about Jamaica and Japan, but it's just calm because both cultures, they're so similar. We're very traditional people because, when you think about very traditional Jamaicans, just an example, you're going to somebody's house, you're going to take off the shoe. In Japan, that's the same thing that you do. In Japan, they have respect for elders. They love, family. And in Jamaica, we're a very family oriented type of country. We respect our elders, things like that. So for me, there's not a lot of clash that goes on inside, even, through the business or externally, internally. It's just more, both of them just balance each other and both of them are very similar. So it's almost very easy for me to integrate both cultures, if that makes sense, hopefully.
Yes, yes, it does. It does. It does. You explained perfectly in terms of the similarities, even though, as you said, on the surface, it might seem
Yeah,
different.
because on the surface it does. Because I mean, even in Japan, one of the things that they love is, and they're very serious about their food and just that community that goes about, like eating and drinking and things like that. And it's the same thing in Jamaica. So there are a lot of
Yes.
similarities between the cultures. Because when you think of Jamaica, to me, in Jamaica, it's a lot about community. And what I would even say, actually, on a tangent, is I think Jamaica and England, where I live, is even more dissimilar than Jamaica and Japan, based on just the traditional way of life in both countries. So
Mhm,
there you
mhm.
have it.
Okay, awesome. So I want to shift gears a little bit and I want to talk about motherhood, right? That is one of the things that drew me to you when I was looking on your IG platform, the fact that you wanted to just be so transparent about your journey as it relates to motherhood. As a matter of fact, you describe motherhood as unique. So let me ask you, what made it so different for you and why did you actually decide to document that experience so openly?
Well, I wanted to document it because when I was super excited, that's the first thing, because this was my first, or is my first little baby. Maybe my only, considering everything that I went through. But for me, I don't know. I wanted to document it because one, I think that I'm in a position where a lot of women could potentially relate to. I have my 9 to 5, I have my business, and now I'm going to be a new mother. And it is such a scary thing to think about because when you're balancing, for example, your 9 to 5 and a business is extremely difficult. And then if you add motherhood on top of that, and I was expecting it to be, again, extremely difficult as well, because there is a lot that goes into motherhood. And then as now I'm a new mother, I'm learning so many things. And there is a lot of balancing that needs to happen. So I wanted to just document it, just the real raw experience that I was having. So other women could potentially use that to help them navigate however it is that they're trying to navigate their motherhood experience, and just show them that, whilst I'm here stumbling over myself, probably, I'm still taking it one day at a time, one step at a time, and we can still thrive as businesswomen, 9 to 5 employees, and mothers at the same time. We might fail as we go along, but we still just need to take one step in front of the other. And I thought that was or at least that was one of the reasons why I wanted to document it, just so that other persons can relate to the experience.
And on behalf of all the mothers or the mothers to be, I thank you. I thank you for, for showing us that it is indeed possible for us to have all the things. But this leads to not necessarily another question, but I would love to have you chime in on it, where we talk about balance versus harmony, as it relates to the
Hmm.
different things that we do in life. How do you Is it a balance for you, or what is it for you?
To me, and it's very interesting that you said the word harmony because to me it's harmony. And the reason why I would say it is harmony is because for me, everything works together. So even the 9 to 5 that I have, it works well with my business because I am in, customer loyalty, and then all the learnings that I would have from my 9 to 5, it tapers over into my business. And within my business, for me, the Matcha Yaad, even the very name of it, it sounds like a destination. It's a place that you go. It's about community, and my family life is community. So I'm still even taking lessons from just navigating family life, being a mother, being a wife, all of those things, and then putting that into my business. So all of those things work together. I work from home primarily. So everything is at home working together in harmony, in unison every single day. So you don't have different versions of Monique. You have Monique who is in these different facets. So it's the same Monique, but she's just showing up in different areas. It's not a different Monique in different areas, if that makes sense to you.
It does. It absolutely does. And let me ask you, because you seem to be, you are a go-getter. And as we said, you think big and, there's no stopping whatever it is that you have set your mind to. But as it relates to motherhood and being an entrepreneur, has that kind of slowed down? What are some of the qualities that you find that is more pronounced now, as opposed to when you were not a mother? Tell us how motherhood has
No.
influenced you now.
So is it the same intentionality? That is, I guess it has made me even more intentional than before because for me, I wouldn't say it has slowed me down. In a sense, it has. And I'm very careful with how I describe this because I have decided to slow down. I've made that decision because I want to embrace this very short time that I get, with my child because they're not going to be this age forever. So I've decided that the most important thing for me right now, so whilst the business is there in the background and, I'm answering the emails, I'm doing this and bits and bobs, I am very present for my little one and for until he can walk and talk and become a little bit more independent. That is the type of mother that I want to continue to be for him. So I wouldn't say it has slowed me down, but I've made that decision to shift my focus and be more intentional because now when before I became a mother, I was all over the place, traveling a lot, doing all type of expos, events, panels, a very busybody. But now I've started saying no more times than not. And before I wasn't, a person that says no a lot, a lot, a lot. But no, oh goodness, no, 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 no.
Well, we're jumping for joy over here because you told us yes. Yes to this conversation. I want to
Yeah.
talk a little bit about the fact that you've been recognized in the UK and how that feels for you, as UK's top 25 rising food and drink stars. I think that that's such a huge thing. I don't know why Monique is laughing like this, but when you look back to the journey, Jamaica to Japan to the UK, right? Your leap of faith. What does this recognition mean to you personally? How does it make you feel?
So personally, the first thing I can say is I can only thank God because when I get these types of recognition, I guess it just reminds me that God has really carved out a path for me, and I am on the path that I need to be on. And it's something that I'm so passionate about. And when you see, just getting even the small awards, because we've received quite a few of them. But since I came to the UK, I promise you, there's so many things that have just gone in my favor. And that's why I'm like, yeah, man, the man upstairs, he's got me. So when I see things like that, how it makes me feel, I just feel humbled and blessed. And I can just only thank him for that. Honestly, that's the only thing I can say. It's just God. And I just give all praises to him for everything that has happened thus far.
Wonderful. And I'm pretty sure the best is yet to come nonetheless.
Wait a man, Jackie, you're not ready for it yet.
The best is yet to come. So I want you to let's talk to the women who are listening in on this podcast, and maybe a lot of them are just starting out, and they might feel a little bit intimidated, fearful, I don't know, uncertain. Um, Probably they're dreaming big, but they're afraid to take the leap. If you could hand them one piece of advice drawn from your own journey, from your own story, what would that be?
You see, I guess I'm going to get to the one, but there's one thing that I want to say. I have this very unique position where not only do I have my business, but I work my 9 to 5 as well. And the company that I work for is a massive, massive corporation that operates all over the world, and we have some of the largest clients that you can think of. So I'm in the room a lot of times with some of the top C-suite people that are making decisions, or the decision makers of major, major corporations. And when you're in rooms like this, and then you see the type of people who are making decisions, some of these people are, for lack of a better word, they're quite questionable as to how they even got to certain positions. So for me, what I would say to especially, a little girl or a woman that is thinking about, and they probably have a little bit of imposter syndrome, you're probably scared. Trust me, you can do it, because if some of these people can reach the very top of companies, making the biggest decisions for the biggest companies that you can ever dream of, you, my darling, regardless of where you are, regardless of what you do, regardless of your educational background, because some persons they don't have like a bunch of degrees or anything like that, and they're in these top positions. If they can get there, you can more than get there, and you can more than do it. You don't need to feel like an imposter when you go into a room. The reason why you're even in the room in the first place is because you belong there, else you wouldn't even have reached that room. So if you feel like an imposter, if you feel scared, just be scared and do it anyway. Your voice matters, and you are in that position because you belong in that position.
I love it. I also would love for you to take it from the perspective of those who are going into business for themselves, not just the 9 to 5.
Sure. And for the persons who are going into business, there are a couple of things. One, I guess, businesswoman that I have a lot of respect for is Rihanna. And the reason is because Rihanna went and did makeup. She went and launched the brand Fenty. And what I loved about it, and why, because even right now I'm wearing a little bit of Fenty. The reason I love that brand so much is because she went into a market that you would think would be the most oversaturated market. Because, with makeup, you have a million different makeup brands on the shelf. And she still went there. And when Rihanna launched her brand, it basically dominated, and it shifted the makeup industry, because everybody started making different foundations for, all different persons with different types of skin tones. The lesson from there is that even if you feel like your idea is going to be in an oversaturated market, even if you feel again like an imposter going into something, still go, because you are unique. And what you bring to the table might never have been brought to the table before. And you can go and you can shift an industry. You can shift things by just being your own unique individual self. So feel the fear, I guess, and just do it anyway.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for that. And we're still on the matter of you running a business as well as you're in 9 to 5. And as you said, you manage your day job is managing one of the UK's largest customer loyalty program. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So before my maternity leave.
Okay. So of course that's a huge role. But what I wanted to know is how do you we talked about the balance, but how do you manage both the corporate role and your entrepreneurial passion without experiencing burnout?
That's an interesting one, Jackie. And the thing is, to be honest, there is no playbook that I could even tell you. The only reason I can manage it is because, and I think this for me is because I'm so passionate about the business and I actually really and truly love what it is that I'm doing. So it doesn't, whilst it is work, it doesn't even feel like work to me. It is something that I know that I just want to do and I'm just living. This is just me living. So my business is literally just me existing, if that makes sense to you. So for me, from a more, I guess, technical way, if you want to look at it, you have my 9 to 5. I'm very strict about my time. So it's 9 to 5, it's 9 to 5. And I just make sure and I try my very, very best, because obviously it's not always going to be this way, to finish my job within that 9 to 5 period. Obviously, you're going to have spillovers, but for the most part, I do whatever it is that I need to do in that 9 to 5, show up, do my best, and then cut off. Then from 5 to 9 is all about matcha. And then I try to pour in as much as I possibly can in that period of time as well. And then the other thing that I do to balance this and just to make sure that I don't experience burnout is, again, intentionality. I am very intentional about having fun. I will shut the computer down. I will close everything. And me and my husband, we're going out. We're going to do something. We're going to have fun. And then I try to compartmentalize. Not a lot of persons can potentially do that, but compartmentalizing is very important. And that works for me. Very much so. So today, if I'm focused on matcha, it's matcha. Then it's 9 to 5. Then it's just me, family, friends, that type of thing, and just trying to show up for those periods, those people at those points in time.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So you've built a brand that is unapologetically Jamaican and
Very.
Japanese, right? Do you think more of us as entrepreneurs need to see our culture as not as a baggage, but as a competitive advantage? That's something we're always talking about, the uniqueness of the Caribbean culture and how we incorporate it, how we treat it, how we, reverence it. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Before I even go there, let me tell you something that has happened to me. When I just came to the UK and I was speaking with a lot of persons before I even launched a brand or whatever, and I was telling them that, I want to name it the Matcha Yaad and it's Jamaica, Japan. And I even have something called Wagwan on the can and this, that, and the other. And a lot of persons were like, no, 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 you can't do that. It is too ethnic. It is too black. Literally persons would tell me those things. And I got a little bit scared because I'm like, oh my goodness gracious, what am I going to do? But you see, for me, I always tell people this. I wear Jamaica on my forehead. I love my country. I love my culture. If you speak to me, you are going to know I am Jamaican. Even when I'm introducing myself into different rooms, I normally start, you probably hear it in the accent, I am Jamaican. Very proud of my country. And
Wait, so you don't talk the English, the accent there.
No, you see how I speak right now. This is how I go and speak. Listen. And sometimes I'm going to be throwing in some patois here and there, regardless of the room that I'm in, because that's just me. And my culture is who I am. And if you cannot accept that, then I probably am just not in the right room. And that's just how I look at it, right? And for me, the culture of Jamaica is just so beautiful. And I want to share that with the world. And that is one of the reasons why, even in the very name, the Matcha Yaad, a lot of times, persons will think it's Matcha Yard, Y-A-R-D, but I was very intentional with making it Matcha Yaad because I wanted to just make sure that I am driving it home that this is a Jamaican company. Yes, there is the Japanese, of course, because of the matcha and whatever, but I'm very, very, very proud of the culture and my country. And Brand Jamaica sells. Brand Jamaica is lovely. And I've been to many countries across the world. And when they hear that you're Jamaican, they automatically gravitate to you. They love you. So I thought it was more of armor, a unique selling point, than it was anything else.
And let me tell you, listeners, when I emailed Monique, I made the mistake of saying YARD. And I was corrected. It's YAAD. So I love that. I love the fact that you are embracing your culture in your branding. I feel like we have such a powerful storytelling way of telling our stories as Jamaican. And as you said, people gravitate towards that. I've talked to a lot of
People
people, and there's
love
nowhere in the
Jamaica.
world that you go and Brand Jamaica is not represented. Like everybody knows Brand Jamaica. And
That
I
is true.
absolutely revel in the fact that I'm Jamaican most of the times.
No, I agree. I put a little asterisk on that one as well
Right.
because
There are
sometimes it's
little
hard.
moments while traveling, or that. Okay. All right. All right. So, Monique, you have lived in three different cultural ecosystems, right? Jamaica, Japan, and now the UK. If you could give us one business lesson you have learned from each country, what would those three lessons be?
Let me tell you, oh Lord, this one is a tough one. A business lesson in Jamaica. One of the things that I would say is be authentic. It's because Jamaicans, I find that Jamaicans are a tough crowd when they're doing business. But you see, when you show up as an authentic individual, selling your products or whatever, Jamaicans will tend to gravitate to you because Jamaicans, I feel like they like real and raw. So authenticity is one of the lessons that I would have learned from Jamaica. Now, in Japan, one of the things that I learned, I guess, from a business perspective in Japan, many things actually, but one of the things that I would say is be process oriented. Because like in Japan, the culture is one where they like documentation. They like to document things and they like to write things down, and they are very by the book. So for me in business, it's very important to document things and to have different processes, how it is that you do this, because from an operational perspective, that is super important. And that was something that I had to learn quite a lot whilst I was in Japan, because even when I was there, because I was working there as well, and everything you had to document. So it taught me that. And then here in the UK, be flexible. So in business, you have to be very flexible because I have pivoted a lot whilst coming to the UK. Because one of the things, an example is the drink that I had. We had it in the juice bar in Jamaica. The formulation was one way, but having come to the UK, we had to tweak that formulation so that it could fit the British palate a little bit more, because obviously that's a target market now. One example is the ginger. We had to tone it down, all the way down. So, you have to be very flexible. And there are a lot of other examples that I could give, because when you're in business, you can't be too stringent. There's sometimes that you have to stick with your guns and, believe in what you say and do what you believe. But other times you have to be very malleable. You have to be flexible.
I love those three lessons. So you're saying in Jamaica you learned authenticity. In
Yes.
Japan, it was about being process oriented,
Process
documenting your
oriented.
stuff, and for the UK, flexibility.
Flexibility.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. Share with us, what is the future? What do you see? Where do you see Matcha Yaad going? Paint us a picture. Say 5 years from now. What does the
So
future taste like?
what the future tastes like. What I will say, because there is something that we're brewing in the background, and I'm using, you see, as I said, very intentional. And this is the one takeaway that I want the crowd to get.
Tell
I'm
us.
using these words. I'm not going to tell you exactly, but you will probably guess it from what I'm saying. But we're brewing something in the background. And the Matcha Yaad, the name itself, when you think about it, the reason we named the company the Matcha Yaad is because the Matcha Yaad is a destination. It is somewhere that you go. It is somewhere that, when you think about it, you're there and you're feeling Matcha Yaad, that Jamaica, that Japan, all in unison in one place. And that's where we're headed.
That's the big leagues. I love it. I love it. And make sure that that is not just in the UK, you know?
Yes, I tell you that Jackie is smart, bad.
I'm not even in Jamaica. I'm in the Bahamas. Who knows? You know what I mean? Make it big. I love it. I love it. Okay, so finally, what would your parting words be to our audience? Any final words of wisdom that you can share with us?
Sure. I'll make it very simple, because I foresee a lot of women probably will be listening to this. One of the things that I would say for you young women who probably are listening to this, trust your gut and don't feel as though your idea is something that is less than someone else's. So trust in yourself, believe in your ideas, trust God, and take time to flesh things out and make sure that you go after the goals that you have and be very aggressive, be very resilient about it, and don't let anything deter you from achieving those things.
Wonderful. And I mean, strong and powerful words to leave us with. Do not let anything deter you. Trust yourself. Trust God. Take time to, make sure that things are flowing as the way that it should. Be aggressive, be resilient. I love it all. Monique, I want to thank you for such a rich conversation. You have shown us what it feels like or looks like to dream beyond the borders. That is something that I believe is just so powerful and such a big thing. We don't need to be confined within wherever we are. We need
Yeah.
to
The
branch
world is
out
our
and launch
oyster.
out. I remember this Bible verse that says, I don't remember it verbatim, but pretty much what it is saying is that spread out, think big. And one would never ever think that that is in the Bible, but I really don't remember where exactly, but it is. And it's the message version, of course, because the message version expands everything. And I really appreciate the value that you have brought to this space. Thank you for your time. I made notice that you said that you don't give everybody your time. And so we're really, really honored and we're really, really appreciative that you said yes and that you came on to share these nuggets and just your journey in general. And to all our listeners, I think Monique alluded to the fact that she was a coffee drinker before. So if in this moment while you're listening, you're sipping on your coffee, perhaps you should try swapping it out for matcha, the Matcha Yaad blend, and taste what authenticity and boldness really feels like. Monique, thank you so much. I really want you to, okay. I think vaguely you said that your target audience or your target market is in the UK.
Yeah, because we're in the UK, so we haven't started exporting yet, but that is to
Oh,
come.
that is what I was gonna ask you. How can we get access to
No, we actually are
matcha?
working on that because I've literally been speaking with my fulfillment company to see how it is that we can get matcha across to different countries. Because a friend of mine that's currently in Barbados, she wants to get some matcha from me as well, and a bunch of people in Jamaica. Oh, God bless them. Um, so
That's where
we're
you're originally from, so of
I'm telling you,
course.
it's so bad. But yeah, so sooner than you think, we will be able to get some stuff over. It's just the logistics that I'm ironing out, because I already have the permissions and everything to export. Because I got like all the businessy stuff sorted. So it's just the logistics.
Well, that is good news. And so I will just leave our audience with this parting note to look out for when the Matcha Yard becomes available to all of us regionally, across borders, everywhere. Thank you again so much, Monique. This was such a
And thank you
pleasure
so much
talking
for
to you.
having me.
And that brings us to the end of this episode of the Beyond Woman podcast. I hope you're leaving feeling inspired and ready to take action. Remember, you are capable of so much more than you think. Keep pushing those boundaries, keep learning, and keep believing in your limitless potential. We want to stay connected with you, so be sure to follow us on social media at The Beyond Woman Magazine for daily inspiration and behind-the-scenes content, and to join our growing community of empowered women. Visit us at www.thebeyondwomanmag.com and www.thebeyondwoman.com, where you will find more resources and articles to support you in your journey. Sign up for our newsletters and be the first to know about our exclusive events and for more opportunities to connect. To all my Caribbean sisters, let's lift each other up. Share this episode with the women in your life who need to hear this message, and let's continue to build this powerful network together. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a review on this app. Your support helps us to reach more women. Thank you for being part of the Beyond Woman movement. Keep shining, keep growing, and keep living your extraordinary life.